This is a festival where people of different cultures and nationalities come together, and we learn and help each other, and we care for each other. The World Festival brings us together so that we can understand each other and bring each other together. That is why the World Culture Festival is important, so people from different walks of life can be together. The World Festival, come and join us.
Understanding and learning each other is truly amazing. It's like seeing a new world, and IYF has opened this world for me.
Now the greatest leaders of this world have a strong mind. And through IYF, we listen to many mind lectures. Now these mind lectures are able to instill a strong mind within us. So I believe the students of IYF will be the greatest leaders of the world.
It's strange to gain your hope, being able to change despair of hope. IYF is my hope.
You know, I'm lived without thankfulness, but now I'm different. IYF taught me thankfulness.
Stories of success changed our life. We're changing. It's great. IYF changed us.
In IYF, I can see more cultures and I can learn it. It is a platform for learning, and IYF is the greatest teacher.
The word will be led by the young people, and all of the students that are here today attending this conference will be immaculate, and they are serious about world leadership, and they will be great leaders.
마약을 했던 사람,
whether they used to do
게임
drugs,
중독된 사람,
or whether they used to be addicted to games,
자폐증에 걸린 사람,
or had autism.
그 사람들이 변하는 거 보면 너무너무 행복하고.
It makes me so happy to see them changing.
참 많은 사람이 변화를 있고,
and many people receive change,
새로워져 가고 있어.
and they are renewed.
The change of heart, the change of life, the change of path. The history begins here. And where is here? The IYF.
Yes, I know. IYF will change your life, right?
Hello everyone, my name is Nui and I am your host today. Welcome to today's Leadership Speakers. So what is IYF Leadership Speaker? IYF Leadership Speaker, it is a way for everyone to prominent individuals takes the time to inspire you to think deeper, to push further, and to never give up, even though sometimes in our lives there are so many difficulties. But everyone, through these leadership speakers, I hope that we all can gain wisdom and hope, and we can also receive a strong heart and mindset. And through this, we will also have many other different speakers every Wednesday at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. So for today's special speaker, he will come and give us his precious wisdom through today's topic, Overcome an Obstacle by Dr. Simpson Davis. He is an ER physician, an inspirational speaker, best-selling author, and TV personality. So everyone, I hope that you can stay with us until the very end and to listen to this precious wisdom word from Dr. Simpson Davis of how to overcome obstacle.
Hi, I am Dr. Sampson Davis. I'm a board-certified emergency medicine physician, and I cover several hospitals in the state of New Jersey. One of the best parts about my job is I get to save lives. People come in, cardiac arrest, patients, dying, clinging to their lives. I'm the one who brings them back from death. I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. A single-parent home, poverty, you name it. A lot of struggle, a lot of uncertainty. But I held on to a dream. I formed a pact, this unbelievable bond with two of my friends, and we promised each other that we were going to become doctors. Education saved my life. Yeah, I've been following the program that you have, and I think it's wonderful what is happening and what is being done, especially during this time with the pandemic and all that's taking place in our country and other countries across the world. This pandemic has really frozen situations for us, and I'm just happy to see that we are moving forward with life and our academics and our socialization and is sort of being a part of a community. I think it's very important and imperative that we stay the course in all that we do. So thank you tremendously for having me.
Yes, thank you. And so, it seems like you do a lot of work for the youth, and that was kind of one of the parallels that we saw. And we're really thankful that you are really giving back to your community. And we kind of want to learn about your background, how what made you want to do that, and what made you want to become a doctor. So I guess we can kind of start from from your past, where you grew up. I know that you grew up in Newark, New Jersey. So if you can kind of explain, your background and where you grew up, that'd be great.
Yeah. My roots are from Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in a very challenging backdrop, impoverished area, lots of struggle, crime, a lot of desperation and uncertainty. And from a very young age, I just felt that education was my platform to sort of get to this next level and to escape the reality that I was under. I didn't choose to be born in a situation. None of us choose to be born in a sense of struggle and uncertainty, but that's exactly what was given to me. And so I had to sort of take those lemons and make lemonade. And I took the circumstance, and I from the beginning, I had struggles, I had obstacles, as we all do. None of us go through life unscathed. We're all going to have challenges and moments of difficulties. And so I pretty much tucked my head down, and I just started to sort of hit the ground running and really focus on my academics. And it wasn't perfect. I made mistakes along the way. I found myself in trouble at times. I found myself doubting myself at times. I found myself with not as much confidence as I needed at times, but I just kept moving forward. And that's I think the definition of life is that you have to keep moving forward. You have to keep sort of propelling yourself and willing yourself to get to that next level. Nothing comes easy, as they often say, but the truth of the matter is that we all are possible and capable of achieving anything that we set our mind to. We just have to stay the course. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to surround ourselves with like-minded people. And we have to put in the work. Work in equals work out. So coming from Newark, New Jersey, where our graduation rate was less than 50% of people graduating from high school, where 1 out of 2 students dropped out of high school, for me to grab onto this sort of thought of becoming a doctor was almost impossible, especially considering that I'm one of 6 children in a single-parent household in a 2-bedroom home. So that was my backdrop, and trying to sort of stretch a situation where we as a family, we were on public assistance. We had lack of funds, and so we had to sort of be really strategic in how to distribute the funds for meals, for clothing, for shelter. And so for me, I wasn't comfortable with that lifestyle, and I wanted to change. And the only way that made sense, that my mother often sort of resonated to me and preached to me, was to stay focused on my books and my academics. School, in a way, came easy for me, but at the same time, I had to put in work to get to where I wanted to become, where I wanted to go, which was to become a doctor, and which was difficult because I didn't have any examples of what a physician looked like, how they walk, how they talk. No one in my family was ever went as far as to become a doctor. So for me, it was like navigating a course or a terrain that was undiscovered in so many ways. And but at the same time, I believed in myself, and I had faith. I had faith that it was possible, that I can make this happen, especially if I just stayed the course and have some patience with it. And so started the process of doing so. And I was lucky to find 2 friends with like minds, and Dr. Ramin Khan and Dr. George Jenkins, and we stayed that course, and we stayed supporting one another, and we were best friends, and we were each other's sort of teammate through the process of moving past high school, college, and into medical and dental school.
Let's see. So, you talked about, how there was a lot of like challenges that you faced, because of the environment that you grew up in. Of course, no one wants to be, born in that kind of difficult environment, but was there kind of a mentor, or was there a turning point in your life, or some incident that made you want to turn your focus on academics and be able to just push past all of those, things that are in your way or any distractions, and just be able to put your head, into academics and become a doctor?
So that's a very good question. I mean, there are challenges throughout life. I would love to tell those listening in that challenges will subside and they would never happen again. But there's challenges that happen and occur throughout your life, and that's part of the. That's part of living. It's an unfortunate aspect of that reality. Is part of living. Is how you handle these challenges is what's important. And so along the course, I always did well in school, but being surrounded by so much negativity, I found myself in trouble, often hanging out with the wrong crowd. So you have to choose your friends wisely. You could choose a group of friends that bring you up, or you could choose a group of friends that bring you down. And so you want to be surrounded by, like-minded people who are smarter than you. And essentially, you want to be, it's almost like osmosis. You want to be around somebody who said, well, pi equals 3.14. Like, okay, this person is smart. And so this is a type of crowd and friendships that you want versus someone who's bringing you down. And you have to always have your antennas up to be aware of that, because not everyone is for you. And so with that in mind, in high school, I found myself, kind of sort of navigating my terrain, trying to figure out where I belong, where I fit in. And I found myself in trouble with the law. And I was arrested for a crime that I committed with 3 people when I was 17 and a half. Because I say 17 and a half because had I been 18, I would not be here to tell this story.
Right.
And so at 17 and a half, I committed a crime. I was arrested. I was a juvenile in juvenile detention, and I was facing a robbery charge. And there were discussions through the prosecution of trialing me or taking me into a situation where they were going to trial me as an adult. Mm-hmm. And they offered me a plea bargain of 10 years with 3 years minimum served. And I took that plea bargain. And so I went to court, and I was 17 and a half. And I never forget when the judge at the time had called the prosecutor to the bench. They called my lawyer to the bench. They had their lawyer discussion, and they came back, and my lawyer came back and said, well, they're offering a 2 with a 2 now, 2 years with a 2. I didn't know what a 2 with a 2 meant, but it sounded better than a 10 with a 3. Yes. So I took the 2 with the 2. And essentially it was a 2-year sentence, but 2 years of probation for the 2-year sentence. Had I found myself in trouble with doing those 2 years, then I would have to go back and serve the remainder of the 2 years in jail. And so when I was released, 17 and a half, I went back to my senior year of high school, and I got all A's in every course, all A's in everything, including lunch. I got A's and everything. And for me at the time, it was like, this was my second opportunity. And so many of us don't have second opportunities, and this was my lifeline. Mm-hmm. And it was uber important that I performed because I knew I was capable. Mm-hmm. And it was uber important that I was conscious and cognizant of the crowd that I was keeping, that I was making sure with 100% absolute certainty that I was surrounded with individuals, family members included, that I can glean from and I can lend to, that was positive. So the guys that I did the crime with, unfortunately, one of them lost their life. The other 2, I didn't keep touch, because at that time, my course of navigation changed. I was going into a different direction. I was betting on myself, mm-hmm. in the sense that I was going to become something in life. And that word becoming something sometimes is overused, but I was betting on myself that I can make more of my life than what was given to me. And so I stayed the course, and went back to senior year high school. I met, I knew Ramik and George already, the 2 guys that I made a pact with. I made a pact with 2 guys in high school. Mm-hmm. And this was around the time that I made the pact, and all 3 of us was in a seminar about careers in health and science. We had cut class and went to this seminar, and we're sitting there, and a recruiter in the seminar from one of the local colleges, Seton Hall University here in New Jersey, said that they were looking to increase the presence of minority men and women in the healthcare fields. And so at the end of the program, all 3 of us made this sort of pact of no blood pact oath. We didn't cut each other's fingers. We didn't sign a contract, but we looked each other's And we look each other in the eye and say, we were going to do this. We're going to make this happen. And so we started this course of becoming doctors. We applied to the colleges, to Seton Hall University, and we all were accepted, which was a very unlikely situation because even the program that we were accepted into, they were allowed, truthfully, to only take one student from one school. Forget taking 3 students from one school. They were only allowed to really take one student from one school, a maximum of 10 students for about a 30, 40 school arena. So the fact that they took 3 students from one school is unheard of. It's something to this day that, you know, I think is very divine and was driven by a higher purpose than ourselves.
Right. Wow, that's really, it's interesting that, you know, they were able to take, you know, all 3 of you guys. And I mean, you know, you could have decided to, you know, do it on your own, but, you know, you were able to meet, you know, the right people and you guys formed a pact to do it. So do you think there was a reason why you wanted to form that pact and, you know, do it together? Or was it just kind of, you know, done then and there? Or, you know, is there a reason why you, you know, decided not to just do it by yourself, but with a group of friends?
That's a good question. I think our friendship was organic. I really believe our friendship was organic. Like, it wasn't a situation where I sought out these 2 different individuals to become doctors. It was an organic friendship. But at the same time, we both were rooted, all 3 of us were rooted in struggle, in poverty, in crime, in drugs, and in uncertainty. And we all 3 wanted a different life. Now, we didn't have the blueprint whatsoever how to get there. We had no clue like how we were going to get there. Like if I think the point that I want to drive home here, if you focus in on the challenge, you're always going to be faced with doubt. But if you focus in on your ability and just go, you're going to climb that mountain and you're going to see yourself at a place and a point that you have covered so many miles without even realizing it. You can never focus on reaching the peak of the mountain. You can never focus on the obstacle. You just have to focus on your capabilities and your ability to perform. And so with this friendship, I strategically, in my mind, and I think a lot unconsciously, said, I don't want to be around negativity anymore. And it wasn't like but I didn't focus on becoming a doctor. I was focusing on surrounding myself with positive energy and positive inspirations and people. And I had to choose from what I had. And so it happened, I had in my life these 2 friends who were in similar situations. But as young men, we were 16 years old. We weren't sitting around having conversations like, yo, we're in uncertain positions in our life. Like, let's form this pact power and go for it. No, it wasn't that thought out. It was more or less like, you can go to college. Now, the fear was none of our families had ever went to college or have gone to college. So we weren't sure how that same. And so having that camaraderie sort of eased the fear or the trepidation that we may have had at that time, because we didn't know if we were going to be able to perform in college. We didn't know if we were going to live up to the standard of what college entailed. And not only did we not know that part of it, we were going to become doctors. I mean, like, becoming a doctor, like, no one, how dare we dream so big of becoming a doctor? Like, we weren't going to college to become, you know, and every career matters, but we weren't going to college to become a 4-year profession. We were going for 8 years plus residency. Like, this was something that, who dare gave us the opportunity or the ability to dream so big. And so we didn't look at the mountain that we were climbing as much as we looked at, we have this friendship, we have this ability, and we have this honor system in which we're going to honor each other. So when I looked at Ramik or I looked at George, they did not come to me and discipline me to step up. For me, I had to honor that by being present and accountable for it, because what they thought and how I present myself to the group mattered, that they saw that as a positive more so than them saying that they need to say, you need to come along, Dr. Davis, and be a part of this. No, I had to be accountable. They had to be accountable, because that's how our friendship worked. We held ourselves accountable to our pact. And that was what was one of the most important aspects of
of that friendship, of our friendship and our brotherhood.
Wow, yeah. So yeah, because you talked about how you didn't have any like role models before you. So I'm pretty sure having your friends next to you was kind of like your support system, and even just like filling out like college applications and stuff like that. If you have like an older sibling or someone who has gone to college close to you, then you can ask them and get advice from them. But I think it's a really big blessing that you were able to have Ramik and George near you, so that you guys can go through it together. And if someone finds out something first, then they can share that information along. So I think that's really amazing that you were blessed to find people near you, and you guys were able to accomplish your pact and your promise. And I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this, but was there any point in your time where like that pact almost was kind of like rickety, kind of maybe someone wanted to give up, or was there any challenges that you faced during your academic or during your journey to becoming a doctor?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to quit several times. We had this amazing counselor, Carla Dixon, who was part of the recruitment process of having all three of us go to Seton Hall and be a part of the pre-medical, pre-dental program. But along the way, yeah, I mean, it was so many challenges. There were academics, which thank goodness wasn't the bigger picture, but there were financial probation. There were situations at home. During the course, I lost my sister. There was other reasons that I wanted to just give in. I was a big sports player. I wanted to play baseball as a professional career, and so that was a temptation as well. So there was always moments of the grass is greener on the other side sort of philosophy. But at the same time, it's also the realization that the position that you are in and where you are is where you're meant to be. Right. And so it's having the understanding of that wherever you're going through is where you are meant to be. And I start the conversation with you saying that challenges will come, because challenges still come. Like here I am, a physician, practicing every day, successful career, successful practice, and I still have challenges. I still have obstacles. I recently lost my brother to coronavirus, and so so the point is, and it's not to sound morbid, but my point that I want to drive is that the road less traveled is not necessarily the best. Mm-hmm. And so meaning that we all want a smooth sailing, and if you have that, you're lucky. But the great majority of us will have some sort of obstacle and challenge along the way. And so I think with even forming our pact and going through it all, once we got accepted to college, the work just was beginning. We had to figure out how to take organic chemistry, how to take anatomy, how to take biology, how to take physics, and how to fit all that into 8 semesters, 2 semesters per year, for a total of 8 semesters in 4 years. So we had to figure out how to navigate that, how to take calculus, and you have to figure out where your strength lies. Are you better at math or science or both? Or are you better at the literal arts, or are you better at finance? So you have to figure out where your challenges and your blessings lie, and you have to really sort of perform very well in those core courses. I was great at calculus and math, so I performed very well. I was great at science, but not as good as I was with the math. And so my science core courses, my math core courses helped to break up my science grades. So I would get an A in calculus, a B in organic, or a B in physics. And then all my other courses, I would get A's in. And so that allowed me to have a high GPA, which then allowed me to apply to medical school and get into the accepted into medical school. But it was challenges. I mean, meanwhile, as I'm doing that, I'm juggling my family that's still living in poverty. I'm juggling my personal relationships. I'm juggling finances. I'm juggling what my future looks like. So we all, you can't put any of that on pause. Like all these are sort of simultaneously moving as you're navigating the course. And so the message that I want to convey is that you can't ever be too hard on yourself. You have to find a moment to stop and laugh But at the same time, you have to also make sure that you're accountable and that you show up, because it's not going to happen. Anything in life that's worth having is not going to happen without you putting in some effort to make it happen.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry to hear, your brother, passed away from Corona, but, I know, from from a physician's, perspective, and it's something that you practice every day. And I know definitely it's a challenge for me and for, all of our, attendees here. And, maybe if you're able to kind of speak a few words, on the Corona, and because I know a lot of people are going through, adversity and difficulties, whether it's like financial or just, family difficulties. So if there's anything, you want to say from like a physician's point of view, that'd be really great.
And thank you for that question. That's a very important question. Understand where we are with coronavirus will pass. Every 100 years or so, there's a pandemic. And the pandemic is different than an epidemic. And the pandemic involves the whole world. All 7+ billion people. At some point, we will have a vaccine. At some point, we will have a treatment plan that is effective and efficient. Where we are currently, we have gained more knowledge and have gained more traction on this virus. And the numbers are staggering. So what we can do right now, the most efficient option we have right now are 3 things: social distancing, keeping your distance from each other, face mask, and hygiene, washing your hands, using hand sanitizer, sterilizing areas that you may frequent. Those are the 3 most important things: face mask, social distance, and washing your hands, until we have a better option, which we will. And this too shall pass, I have no doubt in my mind. But young people especially, you have to know that you're fortunately less likely to be in a position of hurting someone. You're more likely to be in a position of not suffering severe consequence for this virus. That doesn't mean it can't happen to you, it can. But the odds are in your favor that it won't. But at the same time, you can transmit this virus. You can be asymptomatic or a silent carrier, which you don't have any symptoms, and you can give it to your parents, your grandparents, to your siblings. So you have to be conscious and cognizant of that situation. But working on the front lines here, I'm in New Jersey, close to New York, and I've seen so many people, because we were the first place to be impacted by the virus. And I lost so many patients to the virus that I've seen die from the virus, but I also saw a lot of success stories. I saw those overcome the virus. We lost 2 physicians from the same hospital that I work at from the virus. And so it's, it's staggering. But then for every case that I've seen that may have ended in death, I've seen 20, 30, 40 more ended in success. One physician was in the ICU, the intensive care unit, for 2.5 months, intubated, the tube down his throat, and he's coming back to work next week. So there is victory here. But do understand that we are in a very trying times, not only for the health aspect, but financial, economic. Some of the small businesses, unfortunately, we won't see come back. But then we see businesses succeeding. And some of the things that it's human nature to take things for granted, but this is a moment that we can pause and start to appreciate our family, our loved ones, our friends. Simple things like going to a restaurant and sitting down and eating. Like, these are things that we often naturally take for granted because they are always there for us. So to have that moment in time, I think we should just really do our best to stay safe, practice the distance, the social distancing, wearing the face mask, washing our hands, and proper hygiene. But also just realize that we're blessed to be alive. And, as my mother would say, every day above ground is a blessing. And so, we have to just kind of embrace that mantra and that motto right now until we have a vaccine, which in my professional opinion, I think we're probably within a year from being in that place. And this will be something in our past and something that we fortunately will never experience in our lifetime again. But at the same time, no one could have predicted that this would have happened and that we would be in the position that we're in right now. But we're resilient people, and we will weather this storm, and we will get past this moment.
Right. Yeah, thanks so much. So, I mean, for our attendees as well, we're going to be taking questions for Dr. Sampson. So, if you guys have any personal questions that you guys are interested in asking, then please you feel free to share on the chat box. And as we take questions, I also want to ask Dr. Davis. You became a very successful physician, doctor, and a lot of people just stop there. They can spend their time just traveling and spending times for themselves. But like I mentioned at the beginning, you did co-found the Three Doctors Foundation, and when I look into that foundation, it's really works a lot with the youth, and you give back a lot to them, and you provide scholarships to them, so that they can push through school. So I kind of want to know why is it that you're giving back, unlike some doctors who just are focused on their profession alone. Why is it that you are you founded this nonprofit organization?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, these are excellent questions. I don't know any other way but to give. I really don't. Like, to me, it's if you don't give back of yourself in some sort of capacity, in some sort of form, and it doesn't have to be all monetary, you have to give. Like, you just have to. I mean, so many people, I could not be where I'm at today, honestly, if no one helped me.
Right.
If I didn't have people along the course who saw something in me outside of themselves, I would not be here today. And so it was a no-brainer. I mean, it was as simple as it. To me, giving back and having a foundation and helping others along the way was as the equivalent of breathing. How many of us sit back and think about breathing?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as an autonomic response and an automatic response. We don't think about breathing; it just happens. And so, for me to give back and to form this foundation, keep in mind, we formed the foundation. Me, Ramik, and George formed the foundation when we started our first year of residency. We still had student loans, and we would chuckle to say that we were probably the poorest philanthropists you could think of. And so, but it was important for us to give back because of the people like Carla Dixon, who was our mentor, who accepted us into the pre-medical credential plus program at Seton Hall University, because of people like Dr. Linda Shee, who was my genetic professor, who I was told to go to office hours. Like, along the line, I did along the process. It was this course called was called the survival course, how to become a master's student, right? And one of the points of this course that I took in college, how to become a master's student, was to sit in front of the class, rewrite your notes, and go to office hours with your professor, right? So I remember my freshman year, I would go to office hours with Dr. Linda Shee, and Dr. Shee would, "What, you have any questions? Why are you here?" Because every professor have office hours in college, where you can go and engage with them and discuss with them. And and she would say to me, "Why are you here?" Like, "I don't know. They just told me to come." Right? And she would say, "Who are they?" I would say, "How to become a master's student told me to come here." Right? And so, believe it or not, me and Dr. Shee formed this bond that lasted to this day, 20 plus years later. I remember when I was graduating college and I was accepted into medical school, and my first day of med school, she called me. She's like, "Do you have your books?" Like, "No, I haven't received my loan check yet, so I don't have my books." And she said, "I'm on my way to give you money." Now, mind you, it was a monsoon outside, just because that's how life is. It's like it's pouring down rain. It's a very dangerous, treacherous road to drive. In that moment, Dr. Linda Shee, who I met in my freshman year, she was 5'4". When I met her, by the time I was graduating, she was 5'2". So she's driving this monsoon, with the steering wheel above her head, hydroplaning, to come and give me money to buy books the next day in medical school. So I had no choice but to give back because of those who have given to me. They showed me, like, it just became almost my religion in a way, that I am here to serve and to help other people in the ways that are best. Now, you have to be wise, obviously, because you just can't give yourself to those who are not willing to accept the blessings that you're giving. You have to be aware of that, but that shouldn't stop you from what you need to do. And so forming a foundation was something that became paramount for us. And we recently celebrated our 20th year of the Three Doctors Foundation, giving back and performing the mantra or the philosophy of HELM, which is the acronym we use for health, education, leadership, and mentoring. And we feel like these are sort of an ironclad acronym that sort of defines our foundation and that uplifts and empower individuals in our community.
Right. Great. Thank you so much for, you really have a really great mindset, and you're giving back to our youth. So, we're really thankful for that. And actually, one of our youth, I think, has a question for you. So I want to, give the floor over to, one of our attendees. I think his name is John Yoon. So he'll give you the question himself.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. How's it going?
I wrote out my question inside of the chat box, but I'd be happy to read it out loud. So, you said that after you'd gotten out of the juvenile center, you found yourself getting together with a new crowd that gave you a more positive influence. So I was wondering, did all of that kind of happen by chance, or were you just like, after you came out, did you just kind of wait and then everything kind of worked out for you and you found yourself with new people, or were you really determined, like, oh, now I'm not going to go down the same path and I'm going to find myself with new people? So I guess my question is, for myself who would like to, be around more a positive influence, am I supposed to actively seek, or should I just kind of wait and, see what happens?
So that's a very good question. And I think there's no one formula. And I wish I could tell you that there was some sort of secret sauce, like with McDonald's burgers, they say the secret sauce of the Big Mac. But I guess what I'm saying, or what I'm getting at, is that there's not a set formula. Like in my mindset, I knew that I was actively in pursuit of a positive circle. But just because I was in pursuit of it doesn't mean it's going to be an easy find. But then it's amazing how, and I know a lot of young students are listening in, but just remember these words. A lot of what you need is right there in front of you, but you may not see it. You may not see those blessings because life is just full of distractions. Life is full of living in the now, which you should do. You should be present in the now. But when I sat still and I said to myself, like, this is the course that I want to take. This is the road that I want to navigate. This is me trying to, like Lord of the Rings, I have my precious and I need to get it to the mountaintop. Like once I sort of sat down and had that thought and I took inventory of what was around me, then I realized, holy cow, I have two guys right here who are my best friends, who we talk about sneakers, video games, girls, TV shows, music, who I speak to every day, that I can take this travel plan with, this kind of next phase of life. Because one of the greatest fears that I had in my junior year before I was arrested, I didn't know what I was going to do in my future. I had no clue. I had no clue, none. Like what I was going to become. I thought I may become an accountant. I thought I may work at one of the local restaurants or do something technical with my hands. And those are all good careers. But at the same time, I had no clue because I never dared myself or push myself to dream big, to dream beyond my limitations, to dream beyond my circumstances. I accepted what was given to me. And so what the blessing that came from a very unfortunate situation for me is that it made me wake up. It made me realize that I needed to take inventory of those that were positive influence and those that were toxic influences in my life. And so when I really did the inventory, I realized George and Ramik were two positive individuals who were rooted from the same place that I was rooted from, who had so many similarities that I had that I could take this next journey with. Now, the goal was to become doctors, but that wasn't guaranteed. It wasn't guaranteed that we were going to achieve that level of success because we had to do 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school. We had to get accepted into medical school at the college. We had to get accepted into college. We had to perform in both. And then we had to get a residency in a position that we may think that we want to go in and specialize in. So there were so many things along the way that could have prevented this, but at the same time, I believe in a higher power, and I believe you are where you're meant to be. And what I mean by that is that if you are putting in the work, it will happen for you. It may not be the exact way that you want it to happen. It may turn out better. You have to have that level of optimism. And for me, yeah, it turned out better. Not only did I became a doctor, I became a New York Times bestseller. I've written 5 books. Our book, The Pact, Living and Dying in Brick City, We Beat the Street. All these are New York Times best-selling books. And I never planned on becoming a writer, an author. I'm on television. I never planned on being on TV. I have a foundation. I never planned on having a foundation. All I planned on doing was going to college and doing my best at trying to become a doctor. And all these blessings simultaneously happened. And so there's so many things out there waiting for you that you don't even know. Like, you may be focused on one thing, and that's fine. But there's so many other peripheral blessings that are going to materialize and that's going to matriculate in your life that you have no clue and you cannot even plan for. But I can promise you that it will happen, but you have to just start by saying, I'm going to walk this walk. You have to commit yourself to the journey, not the destination, but the journey. And I can promise you, mark my words, come back to me and tell me, I heard this talk 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. If you walk the walk and start the journey, you will have success beyond your imagination. You cannot even begin to plan for what's going to happen for you. And I only say that because it happened to me. It happened to me. Like again, like these things that has happened in my life, I could not plan for. I could not have planned. There's no way you would tell me when I started this journey last century that I would be not only a doctor, but New York Times bestselling author, a co-founder of a foundation, a frequent go-to guest on CNN, Today's Show, Dr. Oz, CBS Morning News, Good Morning America. Like, it's just no way. There's no way in the world. And still to be blessed to have loved ones and to have a family. I mean, it's just so many things there that I can't begin to tell you. All I could just say, please just don't sell yourself short. Please put in the work. Please do not focus on all the steps along the way. Just focus on enjoying the journey. And it's going to lead you, if you're willing to put in the work, it's going to lead you to success beyond your imagination.
Great, thank you. We'll take just one more question, one short question. I think Oren from Passion E6.
Hello. I wanted to ask you, how much pressure did you put in to become a doctor?
Pressure. That's a good question. Pressure, as they say, bursts pipes. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I think if I had to go back, because always the question you would ask yourself at some point in life, if I had to do it all over again, how would I have done it differently? And it would have been less pressure. I would have just had, you got to have faith, and you got to believe in yourself. And the three of us, like when I look at my friendship with my two friends, so find yourself friendships that are positive, that's going to influence you and that you can lend yourself to as well. But I would have been more kind to myself, more self-loving. I wouldn't have been as hard on myself because I felt like I had to succeed, like I had to make this happen. And in some ways I had to, because this was my only option. There was no plan B or plan C. This was only it. But I could tell you right now, enjoy, smile, have fun along the way, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. But along those lines, be accountable, show up, be present, be conscious, be in the moment, enjoy the moment, give of yourself in the moment, and have fun, and know that you're smart. You have to understand, being here, being born, is like a 1 in a billion chance. So you're being here mean that you were selected. Like God said, you are the one to be here. Because it could have been 99 million other options, but you were the one that was chosen. So you're special. And you have to understand, each and every one of you listening you're special. So be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Put in the work, and it will happen. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off to another day. Put in the work, and it will, whatever you want to become in life will happen, but enjoy and have fun. We had so much fun along the way. Went to so many different college campuses, and we took spring break, and we went and traveled when we were able to travel, and we will again one day soon. And we enjoyed college and the experience that college had to offer. By far, the best 4-year period of my life was college. I had such a blast. And I was upset that after 4 years, they kicked me out because it was time for me to graduate.
There's so many people who, want to ask questions, but we're kind of short on time now. So we want to wrap up the Q&A.
Let's see who won. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. So I know that, you talked about, how I know that you have co-published and published, several books. And so, I saw like, for example, The Bond and The Pact. And I know recently, you did publish a book, and, there's so many takeaways that, we got from your, this very short speech, but, there's so many takeaways. And I know that, there's so much more that we can learn, from your books as well. But if you can just, make a brief comment on, the book that you recently published, or any of the books that you definitely recommend for our youth, that'd be really great for us.
Okay, absolutely, and thank you for that. Let me lead with this. I know there are questions, and I get an opportunity. I love doing this. I love exchanging and having dialogue with aspiring, energetic, smart, intelligent young minds. So reach out to me on social media at Dr. Samson Davis. I use the Dr. Sampson Davis, Davis. That's on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Ask your questions, and I will get back to you. I promise. My books, I always try to write books that have personal passion that can be helpful. So the PACT was about me, Ramik, and George's journey throughout our life, through our youth, our college, our medical school, and how moments of fun and moments of challenge and the struggle and the obstacles we went through. And that book is what they call an evergreen book. Now, I didn't know what an evergreen book meant, but evergreen means that the book sells forever. And so we wrote that book many years ago, and we've been blessed. It became a New York Times bestseller. It's over 1 million copies sold. And every day I get emails from students who read that book, who's been inspired, and it's a blessing. The one thing I don't like is I've met grown-ups or adults who say, I read your book when I was 12, so that makes me feel a little young in an old way. But the PACT, We Beat the Street is a youth adolescent version. So for your younger brothers and sisters that 10 and 11, 9, 10, 11 years old, We Beat the Street is sort of a youth version of the PACT. I wrote a book called Living and Dying in Brick City, and an ER physician returns home. And that book is about my life and my experience practicing emergency medicine in the same hospital that I was born in. I was accepted into residency in the same hospital I was born in. I had 40 interviews for different hospitals when I graduated medical school. And not knowing where I would end up doing my residency, I ended up doing my residency back in the same city, in the same hospital I was born in Newark, New Jersey, in emergency medicine. And so Living and Dying in Brick City is a book that I wrote that's, right now it's the book has been picked up by Stars, that they're trying to adapt it into a TV show. So we'll see what happens with that. The Bond, another passion-driven book, is about the relationship the three of us had, me, Ramik, and George, with our fathers, and growing up without our fathers and what that meant to us. And so we had an opportunity to write a book about that, and our fathers had an opportunity to correspond and share what they were going through. And what we learned is that our fathers were not bad people, that they had their challenges, and life happens. And so it gives a better understanding and humanize the fact that they weren't a part of our lives directly. And my most recent book, called The Stuff, S-U-F-F, is a book that I wrote with Charlotte Jeter, which is Derek Jeter, the New York Yankee baseball great, his sister, and the 11 elements that we all possess into sort of overcoming any obstacles or challenges that you may have in life. We feel like there's 11 principles that you have within yourself, called The Stuff, that will help you to rise above any circumstance and achieving your dreams and your goals. And so The Stuff was a book that was released about 2 years ago. And it's another passion-driven book. And so those 5 books are 5 books I'm very proud of. And I feel like has been something that it was meaningful to me, because it was something that I wanted to write towards helping other people, which was always my purpose.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. We want to thank you so much for, putting your energy and your time. And I know you're really busy, as a physician, but, you're able to take this time off and, speak to our students and, to all of our attendees. So before we, go, we want to take just one picture with you, Dr. Davis. So, I'll just take a screenshot. If everyone can just do any kind of pose, if you can do like a heart or, like a peace sign or whatever. So I'll just take a quick picture. So we can do that real quick. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Should I do a peace sign? Do I do a peace sign?
Sure, anything. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Davis, for, like I said, your time. Our, attendees greatly, appreciate it. And I hope that, we can continue, when the corona is over, you can come, in person and, meet with our attendees. So I'd like to thank you so much.
My pleasure, and I would love to do so. And again, any questions at Dr. Sampson Davis, reach out to me. I know there's a lot of questions we get to answer, but I would love to answer all your questions. Stay safe. We will get past this. Stay positive and stay performing and doing well, and be kind to yourself. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Wow, what an amazing and great words from Dr. So, Dr. Davis, even though he had a tough background history, but through all of those, he overcame. And through today's, we can learn from Dr. that if we surround ourselves around positive energy and positive inspirations, then it will also change the way we perceive things. And yes, I also agree on what Dr. say. Don't ever be too hard on yourself. If you have to find a moment to stop and to laugh, then do it. It's kind of like taking a break, right? And so everyone, also don't forget to prevent spreading the virus. You have to, social distance. Make sure to always have face mask and hygiene. Very important to wash your hands. And so everyone, next week we will have another leadership speaker. All right, thank you so much for joining with us today, and we hope that you can keep today's wisdom and knowledge in your heart and use it for the future. So everyone, we will see you next week on Wednesday here. Thank you. Have a good evening.
This is a festival where people of different cultures and nationalities come together, and we learn and help each other, and we care for each other. The World Festival brings us together so that we can understand each other and bring each other together. That is why the World Culture Festival is important, so people from different walks of life can be together. The World Festival, come and join us.
Understanding and learning each other is truly amazing. It's like seeing a new world, and IYF has opened this world for me.
Now, the greatest leaders of this world have a strong mind. And through IYF, we listen to many mind lectures. Now, these mind lectures are able to instill a strong mind within us. So I believe the students of IYF will be the greatest leaders of the world.
It's strange to gain your hope, being able to change despair of hope. IYF is my hope.
You know, I'm lived without thankfulness, but now I'm different. IYF taught me thankfulness.
Stories of success changed our life. We're changing. It's great. IYF changed us.
In IYF, I can see more cultures and I can learn it. It is a platform for learning, and IYF is the greatest teacher.
The word will be led by the young people. And all of the students that are here today attending this conference will be immaculate, and they are serious about world leadership, and they will be great leaders.
뭐 마약을 했던 사람,
whether they used to do
게임
drugs,
중독된
or
사람,
whether they used to be addicted to
각종
games,
자폐증에 걸린 사람,
or had autism.
큰 사람들이 변하는 거 보면 너무너무 행복합니다.
It makes me so happy to see them changing.
참 많은 사람이 변화를 있고
And many people receive change,
새로워져 가고
and
있습니다.
they are renewed.
The change of heart, the change of life, the change of path. The history begins here. And where is here? The IYF.
Yes, I know. IYF will change your life, right?
Yeah!